Hello everybody and welcome back to Let's Play Suzerain. I'm pretty sure we already clicked through all of these before. It's just the game saves at the start of the turn rather than the end of the turn, so it's showing all of these as if they haven't been read. Let's just quickly get them off the screen. I don't recall that one. Oh, never mind. Okay, yep, that looks to be everything. So, we have a private meeting with David Whiskey. David had scheduled a private meeting with me, but he didn't specify what it was about. I heard a knock on the door. Mr. President, may I come in? Yes, David, please come in. Thank you. He slowly made his way toward the chair in front of my desk and sat down. First of all, thank you for your time. Don't mention it. What's wrong? I wanted to ask how you're doing. Honestly, I'm tired, David. I'm tired of it all. Oh, I know the feeling. Trust me, I know. Sometimes you just want to throw away all the responsibility and escape. Perhaps into the wilderness, perhaps to the sea. That would be nice, wouldn't it? But I could never do that. Unfortunately, men of power are bound by duty and their responsibility to the nation. He started coughing. What a privilege for me. I had the chance to watch my student grow into a fine and strong leader in my lifetime. What a privilege indeed. You tried your best to bring reform to Sordland. That is valiant in itself. It is okay to feel frustrated by failure, but change, unfortunately, doesn't happen easily. You paved a path for future generations to follow, and they will remember you for it. That's right, I'll do whatever I can to leave a good world for the ones who will come after us. That's the spirit. We can't be sulking about our failures for too long, otherwise we will spiral into despair. This country does not need any more despair. David coughing again, this time for longer. I overheard a conversation the other day near a newspaper stand. It piqued my interest, so I kept listening. They were talking about you. They were calling you a radical centrist. What do you think about that? I'm trying to figure out exactly what the fuck a radical centrist would be. The only thing that I can think of is somebody who just kind of can't pick a side, because it just doesn't really seem to make any sense to me. As to exactly what a radical centrist could be. As a concept, it just doesn't sound right at all. Okay, I refuse to be called a centrist. My father, Artur S. Whiskey, used to say, always know yourself. He stopped for a moment and took a quick look at his watch. So, the elections are fast approaching. How are you feeling about your chances? I can't say for sure, but I'm hopeful. Good. That is what a leader should say. I'm afraid I have an announcement to make to you. Why? What's wrong? After the term is done, I will be retiring. For what reason? I've been in this line of work for many decades now. I swore an oath to myself years ago. I would quit if I ever felt like I didn't have the physical capability to serve anymore. At that point, I would become a hindrance. That time has come, Mr. President. My bones are aching, my hands are shaking, my voice is failing. Besides, I'm sure you can find a younger minister who is a little more full of life. He winked at me and chuckled, which turned into another cough. You have been a mentor, a teacher, and a friend. Thank you for your service to this country. It was an honor, Mr. President. David stood up to leave. We're gonna give him a hug. Best of luck, Anton. Thank you. He turned around and left. What do we have here in Conriat? Okay, so thank you very much, Mr. Caranti. Swordlish media mogul and businessman Marcel Caranti has officially endorsed us to be the next president of Sordland. With Mr. Caranti's wide-ranging connections and new media power, we can expect more votes in the upcoming election. Good, good, good. Minority poll results. The opinion polls on minority voter groups have been very positive, especially for the British citizens in our country. Thanks to our relaxed immigration law, their votes will have a larger impact on the election. We'll see if they will decide to vote for us. Don't believe... I would like to think that they would. We've been generally fairly, friendly towards their cause in many ways. So I would like to think that they would say, hey, you know what? I don't think we need to necessarily vote for the BFF, or excuse me, not the BFF. What's the name of the group? Codex. The Workers' Party of Bludia, necessarily. To have a friendly voice, basically. Let's see. World Revolution Manifesto. A revolutionary step. Ooh, okay, that doesn't seem great to hear. Vice Secretary Chairman, I'm not going to try to pronounce his name, of the United Assembly of United Cantana has made a groundbreaking announcement. He has proposed the World Revolution Manifesto, a revolutionary vision calling for an ideological shift towards Malianovism and Vogslandian socialism globally. This manifesto aims to revolutionize global governance, focusing on investment in education, infrastructure, and health rather than military investments. The World Revolution Manifesto is seen as a continuation of CSP's colossal investment scheme initiated 3 years ago. This scheme had channeled 150 billion KS, I don't know what that currency is, into Rika's infrastructure and education sectors, transforming the continent's social landscape and shaping it as a beacon of sustainable development. This new manifesto, while global in scope, aims to replicate this success, fostering a worldwide revolution. The approach is a peaceful one, favoring socio-economic development over military power. The goal is to construct a world where liberty, equality, and wealth are universally accessible. What's ATO doing? Signing a 3-year non-aggression pact. Amid escalating tensions between United Cantana and Arcasia, the Arcasian Treaty Organization has signed a non-aggression pact with the Federation of Anrakan Isles, located strategically between the continents of Mercopa and Cantana. The Federation provides a critical diplomatic and security buffer. Its influential naval fleet supports stability in the region and ensures uninterrupted global commerce. The geographical location and naval strength of the Anrakan Isles enables it to act as a neutral ground for global trade, maintaining open trade routes despite ongoing superpower confrontations. The agreement reflects efforts to ensure regional peace and highlights the Federation's role as a key player in economic cooperation. Okay, I'm assuming up here as well they're referring to the Anrakan Navy. Maybe it's just me. The phrasing for particularly this last sentence here in the first paragraph almost implies it's referring to Arcasia, but no, I think it might be referring to the Anrakan Navy. Okay, well, that's fine, I guess. What do we got in the news? Leadless Graph challenges us. Okay, you guys are a bit slow on the reporting, it seems. People's Front coming strong. Okay. As the election draws near, a rising political force in Sordland is garnering significant attention and support, the People's Front. This novel alliance forged between the Workers' Party of Bludia and the Communist Party of Sordland is experiencing a remarkable surge in the polls, signaling a potential shift in the nation's political landscape. The emergence of this progressive coalition presents an opportunity for Sordish citizens to embrace a new direction and hope for a brighter future. The People's Front champions policies that reflect the aspirations of the broader population and seeks to address the most pressing social and economic issues facing the nation. If the current trajectory continues, there is a genuine possibility that we may witness a left-wing coalition ascend to power for the first time in Sordland's history. This historic development would mark a significant departure from the traditional political establishment, providing an alternative vision for the country and offering fresh solutions to the challenges we face. As the election approaches and the People's Front continues to gain momentum, it is essential for Sordish citizens to remain informed and engaged, carefully considering the potential implications of this transformative political movement on the nation's trajectory. Let's see. Arcasia strategic checks on CSP forces. As Arcasia grapples with the rising power of the Content and Security Pact, its military and intelligence arms are operating in full force. Blah, blah, blah. The presence of CSP's fleet with the backing of United Content's vast resources threatens to disrupt Arcasia's key supply chains. Yet Arcasia's strategic response isn't limited to its official armed forces. Integrated two prominent PMCs into its defense strategy. Safeguarding Arcasia's national interests abroad. By leveraging these companies, Arcasia strategically detaches some military actions from official state oversight, allowing for more flexible and rapid responses. Okay. Sordish foreign minister retires. Yep. We knew that. Okay, here we go. This is just them basically reporting on what was announced or said during the Alliance of Nations session. During the Alliance of Nations session, President Rain has claimed that Rumburg possessed nuclear weapons. Today, the investigation committee tasked by AN has found evidence that President Rain was in fact saying the truth. Rumburg has nuclear weapons. So, what does this mean for Eastern Marcopa? In the region, Rumburg has always been one of the strongest military powers and also one of the most threatening, which secures them the position of being a key player. Possession of nuclear weapons by such a country not only threatens their neighbors and longtime rivals, Sordland, but also nations that are further away from their immediate reach. Rumburg's new status as a nuclear power will make them a force to be reckoned with. The balance of the world is about to change once again. Okay, what do we got here? A USB Congress called with the now ex-Interior Minister Lilis Graf challenging President Anton Rain following her resignation. A Congress has been called at which members of the USP will determine the party's future leadership. At the Grand National Assembly, both Graf and Rain will make speeches after which the votes will be cast. Okay. And then, yep, just internal documentation confirming that, yes, Rumburg does in fact possess nuclear weapons. Okay, Friday afternoon in the office. What do we got going on here? Lucian. Mr. President, there's a problem. What kind of a problem? Mr. Hull wants to speak with you. He's in the White Room. Please follow me. We started walking. Do you know what it's about? I was just told to come get you, sir. I opened the doors and we entered the White Room. I looked around. Simon was sitting, playing with the pen in front of him. Good evening, Mr. President. I'm here to let you know that I will be handing you my resignation shortly. What's the meaning of this? Exactly what it looks like. I'm resigning from my position in the cabinet. I simply cannot go on anymore. But why? I suppose I owe you an explanation. I have failed my mission as the Minister of Economy. During our term, instead of stopping the recession, we made it even worse and entered the Sordish Depression. I blame myself for this. I couldn't offer you better solutions. I have proven that I am unfit to serve as the Minister of Economy in Sordland. I will resign at the end of our term. And I don't think you necessarily made bad decisions, Simon. At least not solely. I'm afraid things are already in motion, Mr. President. Took a deep breath. I looked at Simon's determined face. I guess I have no choice but to accept your resignation. Simon and Lucian left, and I took a seat alone in the White Room. Yep. Another one leaving. That's not exactly great. Okay, here we go. Party Congress. See how bad this is going to go for us, because I'm sure it will. It was the day of the United Sordland Party Congress. For the third time in the party and Sordland's history, a candidate was challenging an incumbent president. Sergei was driving me to the Grand National Assembly for the historic event. I looked out the window as we passed through the small forest dividing the Maroon Palace and the Assembly. I thought about the day I announced my candidacy against Edwald Afonso when he was still president, when I remembered how, just a few years before that, Ewald had challenged Tarkin Sol. How are you feeling back there, sir? I'm okay, Sergei. How are you doing? I'm as good as I can be, sir. Sergei made a left turn out the forest and entered the vast garden area of the assembly. I still don't believe how Miss Graff could run against you. She owed her position to you. Honestly, she doesn't owe me anything. I only picked her to get conservative support. Still, I would never bite the hand that fed me. He parked the car in front of the gate that led to the USP's wing of the assembly. Good luck, Mr. President. See you on the way back. Thank you, Sergei. I entered the building and joined the crowd of influential politicians, lobbyists, and benefactors who had gathered for this turning point. It was almost time for the debate. The crowd dispersed and the members of the USP went inside the Congress Hall. United Sordland banners hung from every possible spot. I tried to mentally prepare for my speech, but the lingering memories from the first two leadership races were making it hard for me to focus. Suddenly, Peter approached me from behind and put his hand on my shoulder. "My man's here. Come on, let's get this vote over with." How are you feeling about the vote? Well, the cabinet resignations didn't exactly help with the mood, but come on, you're going to win in a landslide. I wish I could be that optimistic. As if on cue, Layla strode past me into the hall, accompanied by a large group of her supporters. Instead of her usual beige, she wore a sun-yellow skirt and blazer. Gloria Torrey was on her right. I tried to ignore them as I entered the hall. Peter and I took our seats and waited for the session to begin. Look, it's starting. He pointed at the podium. Lucien was there. He was about to introduce the candidates. Ladies and gentlemen. The hall fell silent when he started speaking. We gather here today in the 28th Congress of the United Sordland Party for the third leadership race in its history. On the occasion of my 20th year in this party, I'm honored to be opening this historic session today. The members of the USP will soon be voting on whether President Rain or Layla Graff shall assume leadership going forward. Before we begin the selection process, I would like to invite both candidates to give very short speeches. First, I would like to invite Anton Rain, the fourth president of Sordland and the chairman of our party. I stood up and walked up to the podium amid applause and campaign music. I shook his hand before I began addressing the party. Fellow members of the USP, try to focus on what we managed to achieve, or that I tried my best. Or just that it could have gone better. I think it might be better to focus on what we achieved. Together we have achieved a lot in the past 4 years. Since we weren't successful, it's probably better to say that the people wanted reforms from us, so we did our best to deliver. And you know what? Yeah, I'm kind of inclined to throw some shade at the old guard here, as well as Layla's. But Layla's Graff and the old guard stood in our way. Took a deep breath. But I believe if we stand together, nobody can stop us. Yep, help me continue our fight to make this country great. Sure, what I've achieved in my first term cannot be denied. Kind of torn between 1 and 3. We're gonna go for 3. I don't think Miss Graff can provide any alternative. Admittedly, I will completely admit that I don't necessarily think that some of these decisions are necessarily going to be garnering us much support, because I don't believe the progressive wing of the USP is necessarily the larger of the two. Realistically. It's just a question of exactly how many of the conservative wing are necessarily part of the old guard, in a sense. Which we don't have any way of knowing that at all. That's just not information that's available anywhere. You know, I don't think the reformist wing is necessarily large, but we have no way of knowing how large of a group they are necessarily. But I think we're still going to go and run for that. Yeah. Miss Graff is a puppet of Tarkin's soul and the old guard and nothing else. Yep, sure. Elect me again so we can continue our great transformation. Yeah, sure. We'll end it with a Morgana West Corps. The campaign music started blaring again as I left the podium. Lucian shook my hand again, and I walked back to my seat to the sound of loud applause. I'm hopeful that that's a good sign. I sat back down next to Peter. You did well. You had them in the palm of your hand. Did I really? Because I'd be shocked if I did. Lucian spoke from the podium again. Thank you again for your speech, Mr. President. Now I'd like to invite the next candidate to the stage. She's one of the most experienced and respected members of this party. We all know her from her accomplishments in archery and hull sword. Let's welcome the former Minister of the Interior of Sordland, Layla Scraff. The hall started applauding. Layla walked up to the podium accompanied by an old nationalist song about the Swordfish Civil War, Aleta Inta Norkney, or the Light in the Darkness. Her eyes had a fire in them that I had never seen before. Fellow compatriots, it is an honor to be a candidate for the leadership of our great United Sordland party. She pulled out a handkerchief and dabbed at her eyes. Forgive me, this beautiful song always fills me with emotion. My opponent might call that a weakness. I consider it a strength. I don't think we ever implied that you're emotional and that was a weakness. I don't recall ever saying that. It brings me hope to see all the energy in this Congress Hall today, but hope alone does not suffice. I don't want to listen to songs any longer. I want us to sing them from the rooftops. What is it that you want, sons and daughters of Sordland? I'll tell you right now. You want a president who will stand bravely against the wealthy elites in their mansions rather than kowtow to their every demand. Says the conservative part of... Okay, yep. Sure, Laylis. Okay, sure. You want a Sordland that protects its own rather than letting in foreigners who have no respect for our culture. You want a strong and united Sordland, and I am here to tell you that none of those things are possible as long as Anton Rain is in office. As those who rule the state become more and more alienated from the values that make us who we are, and the deplorables who stand silent against this sink us deeper into a quagmire of moral and cultural corruption, He tore his own wife away from her rightful place at home and forced her into politics in the name of women's liberation. Didn't force her. She wanted it. I said, sure, I'll support you. Very different. Did all of that without even managing to fix the recession. Swordish people are still suffering. He is a disgrace to the name of Tarkin's soul. Well, I don't really care to embody Tarkin's soul. We cannot allow him to taint the accomplishments of this party any further. We're not going to say anything. We don't want to interrupt. Keep listening. Don't worry. Let her say what she wants. The results won't change. After nearly 4 years of the president behaving abnormally against all my advice, I had no choice but to tender my resignation, for I believed we could achieve much more, for I still believe in the idea of United Sordland. I appeal to your innate sense of honor and dignity as Swordish people. Elect me as your leader, and I promise that with the Lord on my side, I shall elevate this party and this glorious nation to the heavens. Mr. Rain, your time leading this country is through. I am here to bring down the walls you built. Thank you. Morgana West Corps. We'll be nice. We'll applaud. The voting began. I filled out my ballot, making an X next to my own name, and lined up to drop it in the ballot box. After all the votes were cast, we sat back down and waited for the announcement. After some time, Lucien appeared on the stage again. Thank you, everybody, for voting today. The results are ready. After counting every vote, we have come to a conclusion. The winner of today's leadership vote is determined to be Layla Scraff. The hall reverberated with thunderous applause. I congratulate our new leader and our next candidate for president. I couldn't believe it. For a moment, my sight darkened. All I heard was the shouting, Laylas, Laylas. I couldn't focus. Everything became a blur. Are you okay, Anton? I need a moment. I sank down in my seat and sighed deeply. We had a good run, didn't we? Peter laughed. Sure, buddy. If you had to do it all over again, knowing this is how it'd end, would you? I'd make different choices. I'm sure this isn't the only way things could have ended. We'll never know now. I still believe we can do something better, or something together. Of course we can. Do you already have a plan? We'll start our own party and run for president again. Call it the Democrat Party of Sordland Shore. I'll campaign as hard as I can to get elected again. You sure about this? I need your opinion on this, Peter. I think you're right. I think it's time for some real change. We should do it. I believe in us. But now I have to plan our next steps in detail. He was right. We needed a plan. Maybe this was just the beginning. So, Rain stabs USP back, founds Democrat Party. What a shocking turn of events. Handed his hat by Layla Scraff during the USP Party Congress, President Rain abruptly announced he would continue his presidential run under the banner of a new party. The Democrat Party appeared to be a clumsy imitation of the PFJP. It's doubtful Rain's new platform and ungraceful exit from the USP will convert conservatives, but his sheer charisma might sway undecided voters to his side. More on this as it develops. And I'm not going to bother reading that one. Steals vote. Rain breaks from old guard, runs as independent. Yeah, we'll sort all those details out. Oh, dinner at home. Okay, let's see how this goes. With the election looming, I'd practically been sleeping at the Maroon Palace lately, but tonight I made a deliberate effort to get home early. I told Monica and Deanna I wanted a family supper, just like in the old days. Monica had promised to cook something special. The usual crowd of protesters was waiting for me outside the gates of the complex. The guards formed a cordon to let me through. I hurried past them, went inside, and locked the front door behind me. I heard footsteps coming my way. Hi, Papa. Give her a hug. I opened my arms to embrace my daughter. She hugged me back happily. How was school today? Deanna shrugged. I won a prize at the handicrafts fair. Mama didn't seem to care that much, though. Well, I care. Deanna smiled. Mama's in there. I'm gonna go do some... I've got to do some homework before dinner. I followed her with my eyes as she went upstairs. She was starting to look more and more like her mother. I stepped into the kitchen. Monica was stirring a pot on the stove, her back turned to me. Hug her from behind. I snuck up behind Monica and gave her a hug. She screamed and dropped her ladle. When she realized it was me, she smiled and gave me a kiss on the cheek. Sorry, Anton. I guess I've been on edge lately. Why don't you go fix yourself a drink in the living room? I'll let you know when dinner's ready. I sat down in the living room and poured myself a bit of whiskey and flipped through one of Monica's women's magazines. Deanna came rushing back down the stairs and made a beeline for the coffee table. She picked up her pencil case. Almost forgot that. What do you hear from your brother these days? Not much. He writes me letters sometimes. Papa, are we a socialist hive mind? Not if I have anything to do with it. Monica appeared in the doorway. She smiled at the two of us. Dinner's ready. The three of us gathered around the dining room table. Monica ladled out bowls full of zabla. The stew tasted as good as it smelled. Now that we're all here, I wanted to say something. Past 4 years have tested our strength as a family. I know I haven't been there for either of you as much as I should have. Hope I can make it up to you someday. Monica's eyes were shining. Once the election's over, I'm taking you both on holiday. Monica sighed heavily. Anton, I think you should quit politics, not just drop out of the election. Retire. I've been having similar thoughts. With everything that's happened, I don't think you belong in government. And every day you stay there gives your opponents more chances to smear your reputation, and ours. They've been making fun of me at school because of you, Papa. You being president, it hasn't been easy on any of us. Maybe we could go back to the way things were before. Sorry, Monica. Gotta keep going. Monica's lips formed a thin line. You never did know when to give up. Can we finish dinner now? Of course. The three of us finished our food in silence. Once we had cleared our plates, I went up to my study. I still had work to do. Let's see. Presidential debate prep in Lockhaven. What do we got out here? ATO declares World Liberation Manifestation. Okay, that's a bit of a weird name. Diplomatic development, promoting liberty, equality, and wealth across the globe. This is basically their response to the CSP thing. At least that seems to be the case, effectively. Although one of the big things is that at least in here it doesn't seem to mention any sort of economic support or anything like that to achieve these policies and whatnot that it is trying to promote. Well, the other one at least seemed to imply that there was financial compensation for it. We'll see how that goes. Okay, main focus of our election campaign. Well, I think we focused on the education before, and I'm generally inclined to think that we did a decent job at that. Let's, take a look at the overview. It's probably under like welfare or something. Situations, let's see. Yep, accessible rural education. Good. Modernized education techniques. Good. Yeah, healthcare ain't the greatest. Maybe we focus on that next. That might be a decent one to focus on, yeah. I don't think we really need to focus on the military necessarily. Outside of a lack of reservists and this military interference in politics, generally speaking, I think we are pretty set there for the most part. I suppose we could maybe do security as well, but I'm honestly more inclined to probably go for healthcare for this next one. Okay, I got about 14 minutes left on my clock because I did start it a bit late, so that's actually more like 10 minutes left for my usual length. I think we're going to go and end this part here instead of doing the debate, and we will do that next time. I will see you all then. Until then, goodbye and farewell.